Bank is expected to announce this Thursday whether they will grant Eskom a $3.75 billion loan. Earlier today, Eleni Jokos spoke to Eskom's chairman, Mpho Makwana.
Well, I think that cope would be the operative word. We would still have to go and look for alternative sources of funding. The key message really more for the World Bank decision makers is really to look at the World Bank's commitment to development financing and appreciate the fact that not financing the Eskom projects actually makes them lose out on helping shape especially the renewable agenda on the African continent. Because what this then would do is it would free Eskom to go and look for funds elsewhere with less conditions linked to renewable energy. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Eskom and the South African government are not committed to renewable energy. We have, as people would know, that in terms of wind, we have a pilot plant, SERE, to engage in wind energy up to the order of 100 megawatts, which will do post the MYPD2 cycle of the current tariff. The ideal with the World Bank facilities, it comes with renewable energy requirements. And we would also be in a position to pilot some solar energy projects as part of the World Bank facility. So certainly the country would have other options to explore, but the big loser would be the World Bank in terms of its agenda of helping shape the global development agenda.
There was news out today that BHP Bhilliton's contract with Eskom is now going to be amended. It's not going to be focusing on forex anymore and on commodity prices, but it's going to be linked to a different cost structure. Tell us exactly what happened today, and also in terms of what we'll be seeing from contracts in South Africa down the line.
Well, the essence of it is really around how we arrive at a win-win mutually beneficial solution to a long-standing challenge that Eskom has been embattled in of embedded derivatives since the contracts were signed in the early 2000s. The process is one that is based on partnership between Eskom and BHP Bhilliton. And at this stage, I'm very cautious not to run ahead of my negotiating partners at BHP. When we have everything concluded, which should be soon, I would then be happy if myself and the chair of BHP, Dr. Makwana, can then jointly address this matter in the public arena. At the moment, what suffices is that we've made good progress. We've signed some sort of term sheets in terms of the key principles of engagement, in terms of how we wish to enter the second round of negotiations. And in the spirit of being respectful to those negotiations, I would rather we just keep it at that we've made good progress. I think about 80% of the embedded derivatives discussion is now firmly kind of concluded, and we just need to bed down the more difficult 20%, and then we'll be on our way to announcing a win-win public solution.
In the studio, Etienne Nel, BJM Private Client Services. What does this mean for BHP Bhilliton? And let's just reiterate the story. Eskom is now wanting to renegotiate electricity supply to their Mozal smelter in Mozambique. And we've got to ask the question, is this significant in BHP's life? Obviously, the electricity supply is no longer going to be supplied at favourable rates that are linked to both the exchange rate and to the aluminium price.
Yes. Bronwyn, I mean, these rates were negotiated 10 years ago, and as you quite rightly point out, they were hugely favourable to Bhilliton at the time because, quite simply, Eskom had excess electricity. Keep in mind, they also have Hillside smelter as well, and both of these smelters consume copious amounts of electricity. If my information, if I'm not mistaken, I think electricity...
I hope you're not mistaken.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think electricity is right up there, like 40% of the cost of manufacturing aluminium. So it's a huge input cost. Bottom line is going to cost Bhilliton bucket loads more because the current arrangement is simply not working for Eskom because they are on the losing end.
Is it a big enough story though to move the share price? Why aren't we down on the day? We had 258 Rand, up over 1% on BHP.
It's a bit of a sort of open-ended discussion at the moment. And keep in mind, aluminium, albeit a big part within Bhilliton, the two smelters in question are only a part of Bhilliton's total aluminium production. Added to which, Bhilliton's got a huge production base, totaling, you know, you've got the oil, the copper, coal, all of those commodities kicking up very nicely in Bhilliton. So Bhilliton as a global story is probably not that bad off, but I think it's cost upside to the two local smelters.
Etienne, at the beginning of the show, I spoke to David Gracie. Now, he's the head of Forex trading at Nedbank Capital.
Yes.
And I asked him where he'd be putting his money, and he didn't think he was going to move the markets with it, but he did say gold was probably a good bet, given the fact that currencies across the board are falling out of bed. And here I'm talking about the euro, the pound, and the US dollar,
Yeah.
some believe longer term. As a market player, what are you doing with your money?
Maybe buying some Greek bonds. You never know. I don't think that's a bad call. I mean, your technical analysts, Judy commented the market's looking very overbought. I concur wholeheartedly. Just everything is looking very, very hot. There's a lot of froth in the system. I mean, we were talking about it offline earlier. It almost feels like back in the heady days, pre the whole credit crunch. And I'll be very comfortable taking some money off the table and really going completely.
You believe something has to give?
I think so. I mean, we've priced in way too much good news, and I mean, where's the next move for US interest rates going to be? It's probably going to be up. And it's almost like the market's forgotten some of those things. And what will happen is if rates in the US tick up, where will your funding costs go? Because effectively it'll probably double. You know, that's the quantum that you're looking at. And as a result, that would probably go down quite negatively.